Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, the very first video of 2024. Can you believe that it's 2024 already?
Man, you guys, we had a great year in 2023, so we thought we would just review all the awesome things that happened on our homestead and talk with you guys also about a few of the awesome personal things that happened for us in 2023.
Yeah, there were a ton of changes that happened in 2023. Not only here on the homestead, but personal life changes as well. One big thing is that it was our very first full year living here on this homestead, on this property. We've owned this property for going on 4 years now, but this was the first, 2023 was the first full year that we actually lived here. So that was pretty awesome. We've broken things down into a few different categories for you guys. So we thought we'd just hit some of the high points of 2023 and just kind of reminisce a little bit about the year that's passed.
One of the things that is very prominent on our homestead and is very important to us are all of our animals. We have lots of different kinds of animals here and lots of wonderful things happened with them this year. So let's go over some of the animal related events.
Well, one of the first things to happen every year with animals on our homestead is that our beef cows start to calf. We like them to calf pretty early in the year. Normally March or April is when they start to calf. And this year was a pretty good year as far as calves go, although there were a few problems that happened along the way. We'll talk about those in a minute. But this year, out of our 10 cows, 9 of them had calves.
Now, there were a couple losses within the other 9 calves that were born. One of the calves was not born healthy. And actually, the mom who gave birth to that calf, this is the second year in a row where she did not have a healthy calf. We had some hard decisions to make about that mama. We ended up deciding to take her to the butcher. And she has been feeding our family and our extended family since then. Another one of the cows calved, and within the first couple of days, her calf completely disappeared. We don't know if it died and then something like dragged it away. We looked all over for this calf. We could not find it. So basically we ended up with 7 total calves after all of that. So out of the 7 calves that survived, 4 of them were heifer calves, which we held back, and they will become a permanent part of our herd. Out of the 3 boys, we allowed 1 to remain a bull because we had a customer interested in a bull from us. We castrated 2 of them to become steers. We are holding 1 steer back to grow out for meat for our family, and the other steer has been sold.
So that's exciting because that means that last year we held back 4 heifer calves. This year we held back 4 heifer calves. And even though we got rid of a few of our grown-up cows, we now, instead of having 10 cows, we will have 14 cows. And that's about where we want to be. We may still hold back 1 more heifer in the future so that we have 15 cows, but that's about where we want to be because that means every year between cows and calves, we should have about 30 mouths to feed, and I think that's about the right level for our homestead as far as the beef cows go.
Now, because we held back 4 heifers this year and 4 heifers last year, and all of those heifers were born from the same bull, those heifers we don't want to be breeding back to their father, so we made the decision this year to sell the bull. His name was Tex. He was a wonderful bull, but we just couldn't rebreed him to his daughters, and so we made the decision to sell Tex.
Right. Yeah, he really was a good bull for us. That was the first bull that we had ever owned. He was a registered polled Hereford. We were really sad to see him go because he was not only a great at his job of getting all of our cows pregnant, but he was also a really good-natured bull. We're hoping that when we buy a new bull, which we're going to start looking probably sometime in February or March, we'll start looking for a new bull. We're hoping we can find one that's just as good-natured as Tex was so that we You know, just have a good bull, because the next one we should be able to keep for a long, long time because we won't be saving any of his daughters. Now, while we're on the subject of cattle, the other thing that happened this year, and a lot of you already know this, is that we decided to downsize the number of dairy cows that we have. So we had 2 dairy cows, Babe and Rose. Rose was actually Babe's mom. We ended up selling Rose this year to a family that we go to church with. We knew that they were looking for a Jersey cow. We decided that we did not need the milk from 2 cows, so we decided to sell Rose. So she went off to a new home, and we were left with just Babe. Now, Babe was a heifer, which means she's never had a calf. But that changed on Thanksgiving morning when she finally had her calf.
She calved the most beautiful little bull calf. He's part Jersey and part Hereford. He came out looking like a beautiful Hereford bull calf. He's doing well. He is drinking a lot of the milk and growing really quickly. So we're really excited about both of those things.
Right. We named him Ralphie, and actually just last night we started separating Ralphie from Babe so that we can get a little bit more of her milk in the morning. So he gets the milk all day long, but we separate him at night, so first thing in the morning we can get her milk for us, and then he gets everything else for the rest of the day.
One of the really big decisions that we made this year in the animal department is we made the difficult decision to stop breeding Idaho pasture pigs. Now, we've been raising and breeding Idaho pasture pigs for several years now. We have absolutely fallen in love with that breed. We really think that they're a perfect breed for like a small homestead or for a small family farm. But what we ended up finding out is that the breeding process and raising pigs over the winter was just a little bit more than what we would like to do.
Right. Yeah, and especially once we moved to this property from our old property. At our old place, we had a nice barn that was, you know, we had it all set up nicely for farrowing and all of that. We didn't have a good spot for all of that here, and we would have had to really build all of that infrastructure here. And that, and along with kind of a limited market for selling the breed quality pigs here in our local area, we just decided that it was best if we got out of breeding. Now, a lot of you, I think, have been confused and think that maybe we decided to give up on the IPPs. That couldn't be further from the truth. We still love the Idaho pasture pigs. We do think they are a great pig for homesteaders. We just decided that the breeding part wasn't for us. We're going to leave that to people who enjoy that part of it more than we did. We will continue to raise Idaho pasture pigs for our own meat supply. We just won't be raising them as breeders from here on out.
Now, this year was a very productive year for us in the area of animals that we raise for meat. We raised a lot of animals, put quite a bit of meat in the freezer, not only for us, but for our extended family. We were just talking about Idaho pasture pigs, that we weren't going to be breeding them anymore, but we did have 2 feeder pigs that came from the very last litter from one of our sows who we sold. 2 of those piglets came back to us after they were born, and we raised those 2 up for meat, one for us and one for Kevin's parents.
Now, even though we do share a lot of what goes on the homestead on YouTube and with you guys, we can't share everything. So I think sometimes some of the things that happen just kind of slip through the cracks and we never really talk about it. Now, one thing I would say is, if you guys haven't signed up for our newsletter yet from our website, which is absolutely free, all you need to do is go to our website and sign up. We share a lot of kind of the behind the scenes things or things that don't make it into videos go out in our weekly newsletter. So that's a good way to kind of learn some of this stuff ahead of time. But for those of you who don't get the newsletter, this year, like Sarah said, was a very productive year on the homestead. We ended up taking 2 pigs to the butcher. We ended up taking a steer and a full-grown cow to the processor as well. That cow that we talked about a little bit ago that had the calf that didn't make it for 2 years in a row, we ended up taking her, and even though she was an older cow, we ended up having her completely ground into ground meat. We were able to split that between ourselves, our daughter and her husband, and my parents. So that provided a lot of good ground beef for all of our families. So that was a real blessing. And that's all we took to the butcher this year, but that's not all the meat that we produced here on the homestead.
We grew a nice flock of American breast chickens
Right.
that we processed and put into the freezer.
Right, I think there were about 40 of those.
You raised a lot of quail. We've eaten a lot of quail. I
Right.
don't think we ever tallied how
No,
many.
I never really keep track of the quail. We just, a lot of times, with the quail, I'll have them in a grow-out cage, and we'll just process as we need them.
Right.
And so we ate a lot of quail this year. Quite a few rabbits we ate again this year. And then this year we actually processed about, I think it was 8 or 10 ducks.
Oh yeah, forgot about the ducks. But you also shot 3 deer.
Right. Yeah. So we had 3 deer this year. We kept 1 for ourselves. We gave 1 to our daughter and her husband, and then we gave 1 to a family at church. So that was great. Man, this was just a year full of meat here on the homestead.
It's been a huge blessing. But not only were we productive in the area of meat animals and raising meat for our family, we were also very productive in gardening and raising food for our family from the garden and the greenhouse.
This year was the first year that we grew, I would say, the majority of our main plants in the greenhouse. So our tomatoes, our peppers, cucumbers, green beans. We grew a lot of that stuff in our greenhouse this year instead of outside. And you guys, it was an amazing tomato year. I know that I brought you guys along for a lot of that. You know how much I love tomatoes. Even I was having a hard time keeping up with all of the tomatoes this year. And you guys, I really think that raising them in the greenhouse is going to be what we do going forward. They just do so well in there. I think it has to do not only with the fact that we can control the soil, but with the shade cloth over the greenhouse. It just is a perfect environment for the tomatoes.
We also had what I would consider like an epic pepper year.
Oh my gosh.
We had so many pepper plants in the greenhouse. They grew amazingly, and just a record amount of peppers. It was a great year for both of those two things. We did have a lot of success with other plants as well, but peppers and tomatoes just totally blew us away.
In fact, I think next year, we'll probably still do the same amount of tomatoes, but I think next year we'll probably, or this year, I guess now we're in 2024, this year, we will do less peppers, or at the very least, we'll do less of kind of our normal peppers, and we might experiment with some new varieties of like spicy peppers and things like that.
Yeah, maybe. Because of the amazing success that we had this year growing in, big pots or basically raised containers in the greenhouse, we decided that we're really kind of done struggling growing out in the ground here on our property in Missouri. We've been struggling for the last 3 or 4 years with the ground here. It's just super rocky. It's kind of like gardening in a gravel driveway. And overall, the soil conditions are not very good. So we really made a decision that we never ever thought that we would make.
Right, and that is that this year we decided that we are going to switch completely to raised bed gardening. And that, first of all, was a huge decision because it really is going to change the way that we garden. But it also was a huge project that we had to accomplish because we wanted to get it done yet last summer or early fall, so that when we filled those beds with organic compost, it could sit all winter and kind of age, so that in the spring when we get ready to plant, that compost is completely ready to plant in.
So that was a huge project, but we're also really excited to see how good or bad, I guess, that's going to do this year, because this coming year in 2024, that's all we're going to plant in, is either the greenhouse in raised containers or out in the garden in the raised beds.
Right. What I can tell you is this, is so far I've been very impressed with these raised beds that we put up. They're from a company called Vajaga. We'll leave a link so you guys can check those out. But when we put them together, they're just so sturdy, and we ended up covering them for the winter, and that's just working out really well. You guys, I'm excited about gardening season again, because I really think it's going to be a completely different experience than it was the last few years, where I'll be real honest, the last few years, the in-ground garden has done so poorly that it gets to the point where we don't even really want to go out there. We just kind of give up on it because it's too much work for the amount of payback.
Yeah, so we're excited for 2024. Hope you guys are also.
Now, without a doubt, the biggest project that we accomplished this year was creating a new area on the homestead that you guys actually ended up naming called Wattlesville. Wattlesville is something that I've kind of had in my head, honestly, ever since we left the Phoenix area, because when we lived there, we had this, what I thought was a really neat kind of setup for our ducks, with a pool above the ground that had a drain in it. It was very easy to maintain, easy to clean, and so we finally got around to recreating that this year, which has been really awesome. The ducks absolutely love having that pool area. And then there were other things that we wanted to do, so we created this whole big area called Wattlesville, and we were able to not only have the ducks in there, I was able to finally, after about 5 years, create an outside area or on the ground area for my quail, so I can get them out of being raised in cages, which has been really nice. We also moved Sarah's silkies into Wattlesville, which has been really nice.
Yeah, they are really enjoying having that special area. They're the only chickens within the area of those birds, and they're just really having a great time.
Right. And then the other thing that we added to Wattlesville is something that actually we said we would never do again, and that is that we got geese. Now, we only got 4 of them, and so far they have stayed very tame. We'll see what happens during kind of breeding season in the spring. They may become a little more aggressive or territorial during that time. But so far, they're working out really, really well. And I think we're going to be able to, hatch some of their eggs in the spring. And then we plan on putting them in different areas of the homestead to kind of help with grass control, bug control, and to kind of help be guard animals for some of the other animals on the homestead.
But ultimately, those extra geese will be raised up to be food for our family also.
Right. Yeah, the plan is to hatch them out early in the spring or whenever the geese start laying eggs. And then, and then we'll raise them all summer. And then in the late fall, we'll butcher them because we won't need them over the winter. And then in the next spring, we'll just do the same thing all over.
So the completion of Wattlesville was really kind of a long time dream come true for Kevin.
Right.
And we're really excited that we got that done in 2023.
Right. We say done, but you guys, I still have more plans for Wattlesville.
Of course.
I'm already thinking in my head an expansion for this next coming summer, and who knows, there might even be some new animals that show up in there, but we'll have to see.
Maybe I can get more silkies.
Maybe.
The next thing that we're going to go over as far as a review of 2023 are the ways that we generated income or revenue here on the homestead. We get a lot of questions about, how do we make money on the homestead because we don't have outside jobs or standard 9-to-5 jobs off the homestead.
Right. Now, like Sarah said, we get a ton of questions about this, and to be honest, when it comes to money issues, we're just kind of private in that area. We're not going to get into specifics, but we are going to touch a little bit on what we do and how we make money. Now, we're not going to lie, you guys. The main way that we make money here on our homestead is through YouTube. YouTube has turned into a full-time job for us, and we really enjoy teaching you guys through videos.
And we've really worked hard now on YouTube for 7 years.
Right. We've been on YouTube now for 7 years. But along with YouTube, there are quite a few other ways that we do make money here on the homestead. One of the ways is that every year we sell the excess calves that we have. Now, over the last couple of years, we've been also holding back some of our heifer calves so we can grow our herd of beef cattle. But we feel like we're at the point now where we don't need to do that anymore. And from here on out, we'll be able to sell every calf that is born every year. So on average, we get, probably $800 to $1,000 for every calf that we sell. And, now that we're talking 14 or 15 cows, that's going to add up. And that's going to be some nice extra income for the homestead every year.
Now, also every year in the spring, we sell plant starts at our farmers market. Kevin and I have really grown to love starting those seeds and nurturing those little baby plants and getting them ready to sell at the farmers market. And over the last 5+ years, they've been really well received by you all who come to the farmers market and by the community. So we have enjoyed that, and it's gone really well for us.
Right. I think this last year, 2023, we sold just a little bit over 3,000 plants, which we started every single one from seed. So that was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
We're very happy with the way that went, and we'll definitely be back at the farmers market again this year.
Now in 2023, we were able to start selling fertile American breast eggs for hatching.
Right.
And we also hatched out quite a few chicks, and we offered those for sale as well.
Right. Same with quail. We were able to sell quail eggs and quail chicks. So we hope that those of you who bought those from us, that we hope those were a blessing to you. And it provides some income for the homestead.
And really the last way that we made income here on the homestead is through our new website that we put out in 2023.
Right.
We actually have a store, or like a shop, through that website where we sell things on and off throughout the year, but we actually have some things that are for sale all year round.
Right. We have things like our seed starting cheat sheet, our rabbit cookbook, rabbit plans for how to make some rabbit processing things, and something that we're just starting to get into is making some like in-depth videos for you guys, things that we can't really show on YouTube because you know, there are a lot of things on YouTube that you can't do these days.
Just restrictions.
Right. So we're able to show more of that. And, you know, we try to make everything on our website very reasonable. So we hope that has been a good resource for a lot of you as well. And we thank those of you who, you know, went to our new website this year and purchased some of those things as well. Well, the last thing that we want to touch on before we go today are some of the kind of personal things that have happened around the homestead this year. Some of these we've shared with you, some of them we haven't. A lot of them we shared in our newsletter, but not in videos. So again, if you want to find out what's going on kind of behind the scenes, go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. It's absolutely free. It's just another way for us to share what's going on every week with you guys. So there were some big things that happened on the homestead this year. I think the biggest is probably that Sarah and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. I know it's hard to believe that in our early 30s we could be celebrating 25 years of marriage.
Okay.
But we did 25 years this year, so that was a real blessing.
Yep, we took a quick trip to Kentucky to spend some time there. We went to the Ark Encounter.
Right.
And just had a good couple days away. Funny thing is, we actually left the farm or the homestead and we rented an Airbnb, a house on a farm.
Right. Yeah, our daughters were like, so you're going to another state so that you can basically stay at home? And we're like, hey, the farm is where we want to be. The farm is where we're
We like
we're
the
gonna
country.
stay.
We like the solitude.
Right.
We're not resort kind of people.
And if you guys have never been to that Ark Encounter, it's like a life-size recreation of Noah's Ark. You guys, it is absolutely amazing. Another big thing that happened this year is our oldest daughter, Grace, got married. So while we're on our 25th year of marriage, they are starting their first year of marriage. And you guys, we couldn't have asked for a better son-in-law. We're very happy. His name is Gavin. Some of you met him this year at the farmer's market. He's just fits in really well with our family. Grace and Gavin have actually dated since they were 16 years old, so they've been together for a long time, and we were very happy when he decided to ask her to marry him.
Another special event on the homestead this year was our youngest daughter, Samantha. She accepted Christ and asked to be baptized. So just near our house in the creek, we had our pastor and Kevin. All three of them walked into the creek and she was baptized in front of friends and family.
Yeah, so that was great that both of our daughters have now been baptized. That makes us feel very good as parents. Now, probably the biggest thing for me this year personally, maybe second biggest, I don't know. It's between this and losing some weight. But the biggest thing that happened to me this year was that I got tick fever. Now, we shared that with you guys at the time, but in case you missed that, I had a tick bite, which is very common here in Missouri. We have so many ticks. but one of them actually transmitted a disease to me. We think it was a disease called ehrlichiosis, but in order to test for that, you basically can't start treating it for a couple weeks, and then you need to, it's like a big thing. It's like you either treat it or you test for it, but you can't do both. But we think it was ehrlichiosis, which is sometimes called tick fever. You guys, I have never been in as much pain as I was with that disease or that bacteria going through my body. It just made all of my joints and my skin and everything just hurt so bad. Luckily, we went to the doctor. The doctor was pretty convinced that that's what it was. He got me on the appropriate medication right away. I ended up being sick for almost a month, you guys, and for me, that's very, very rare. It took about 2 weeks for the actual symptoms to kind of subside, but then there was another 2 or 3 weeks after that where if I stood up too fast, I just got super dizzy, and it was not fun at all. So this next summer, when it starts to warm back up, we're going to be a lot more careful about ticks. It's something we've gotten kind of cocky about over the last few years, but I'm telling you guys, I hope I never ever get that again.
Another event that happened kind of in our personal lives in 2023 is that we were able to sell our first homestead. So where we're at right now is the second property that we bought. We bought it in 2020, I believe.
Right. Yep.
We were able to move full-time from our original homestead here in Missouri to our second property here last November. So it's been just over a year. And in January, February, I can't remember, February, our original homestead did sell.
Right. Now, there's kind of a caveat to that, and that is that the couple who bought our original homestead, it just didn't end up working out for them here in Missouri, and they decided to go back to where they originally came from. And so that property is actually back up for sale again. So we still drive by that property pretty regularly. We see the for sale sign in the front yard, and we are just, every time we drive by, we're hopeful that it will go to another great family. You guys have seen all the potential that that property has from all the things that we did there. It really is a great property. We do hope that another family will get it and really enjoy it.
Now, the last personal thing that happened to us in 2023 was actually kind of a really good success for us. For the entire year, Kevin and I were living a low carb or kind of a keto lifestyle in order to lose weight, in order to be healthier in our life and stuff like that, and to really be able to take advantage of all of the things that we grow and raise here on our homestead.
Right. And for me, for dealing with some autoimmune issues that I have psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, and we did a lot of reading about keto helping with that, and you guys, it's absolutely true. Those symptoms have pretty much gone away after being on keto for a year.
So basically, we both lost weight, and we're very happy about that. We had blood work done at our annual physical, and you guys, our numbers are fantastic.
We did a video where we actually went over all of our blood work results with you guys. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. But yeah, I'm down about 25, 26 pounds since the beginning of the year. I think Sarah's on what, 12, 10 or 12?
10 depends.
Right.
Sometimes
Depends
10,
on the
sometimes
day.
12.
But you guys, that's not something that we're going to quit now that we're into a new year. That is something that we've decided is going to be a lifestyle change for us, and that's how we're going to eat going forward.
That's right. So you guys, those are all the amazing things that happened for us in 2023. We are so blessed. We can't even begin explaining to you how blessed we've been throughout the entire year. For those of you who pray for us intentionally, we just want to thank you so much. We feel your prayers, and we're so blessed to be a part of this community and so blessed to have you guys be a part of our lives.
Right. Let us know in the comments what big things happened to you guys this year. We'd love to be able to celebrate some of the successes that you have had as well.
You guys, if you're enjoying our videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And remember, the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.